It's good. That's why we get the
That's it.
party started daily.
Absolutely. As usual, thank you very much for joining me, for joining together, for joining us in this community. How to. Um, This is an open space for those who are new. We exchange openly on marketing techniques, best practice, fundamentals, and in good tradition, or first, to make sure that this exchange is pleasant and fruitful for everybody, we ask you if you have questions to raise your hand. We'll bring you into the fold and you'll be able to ask questions so everybody can share into the knowledge gain. Everything that we create here, I make available on links that I will be putting in the chat. So for you new to the space, you can refer to these links for the recap on our how-to sessions and all the content, meaning documents and recommendation that I put forward. So I'm going to put these links in. So it's a safe space. There's no bad question. There's no bad comments. We're open to any share. Uh, I am doing this as your brand consultant and brand success manager, marketing consultant and brand success manager. I'm joined with my co-host, the Blakester. That's your cue. He's in the chat with us. So if you have questions that you don't necessarily want to bring up, you can basically, I use that word, you can drop your question in the chat and uh, uh, Robert will make sure that they are answered. And if not, we'll bring it up and we will share into that as well. So as usually, what we will do is start with a round of question on Now site. If since we are all users of NowSite or will be users of NowSite, so if we have questions pertaining to the use, any difficulties, we can start with that. After that, we'll continue on the learning course that we are, the journey in terms of understanding and mastering better this online marketing environment and the tools that we choose to use in our approach. Good for everybody? Perfect, perfect. So we'll start
Like
with a
right
round
now,
of
I need to
questions if you have
actually be
any.
taking something to sleep at night. And
Perfect. If you do you have any questions? If not, at any point in time during the course of the conversation that we're having, you can bring them forward. I'll answer them. And remember, there are no bad questions, and the questions can be in and out of now site environment as we are using an array of tools, particular AI, to get the job done. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can all see it. Um, so over the past sessions, for those who have been with us, if you notice, we've been going over certain basic, giving you free framework to understand or consolidate what you need to actively start promoting your idea, marketing your idea, making and building these connections that matter, right? For today, what we're going to be doing is continuing on that conversation around email. The message extend to what we will be doing in or throughout our email campaign, also on our social media approach, starting with um, the website asset. This brings us back to where we left off or where we began before we started looking at the branding fundamentals, the use of the digital card. And we are now pretty much in tune with the idea that it is a powerful tool and that it also will bring in together everything that we discuss around your brand conversation, right? One of the things that you will notice is that the digital card, as we offer it, again, allows you to go to your social media, right? One of the things that I recommend that you do, which is part of the Now site course here, if you haven't, I recommend you join the team. The link is part of the link asset that I dropped in the chat. I actually updated some new documents that you would want to get for this course. I updated also the how to last session recap. If you weren't here, you can go back to that conversation. Um, in the course library, in the course library first, what you want to make sure that you go through these documents, the email setup, right? You want to make sure that you properly set up your email if you're new to the platform. If you're not, well, it's always good practice to go and revisit your conversation or your connection. The document is straightforward with screen captures that give you a step-by-step process, right? We ask you to go to the last tab here. We take a look at basically your connection tab here. And this is what your email synced properly through your NowSite account should look like, right? Simple process. Again, we follow the prompts. We connect your email. You basically will select to start the choice here, email and contact or email only. You will be asked to key in the email and you follow the prompts. This is basically what is outlined step by step here with some screen captures to help you, right? It's important. If you're using any type of other emailing tool, again, make sure that they're properly set up to the tool. Why? When we are discussing email marketing conversation or the use of our websites, we're looking now at that acquisition phase. We're trying to get information. We're trying to get email contact so that we can go into our email campaign with the intention of converting. In the masterclass session or section of our team, again, content. So back to team content, masterclass recap. I've put forward a new document. I put the video of our training. If you weren't there, you can take a look at that as well. The link is there. And I added email, website link. Basically, well, sorry about that word again. What's wrong with me? I'll be using that to refer through our training. It's something that you can brought up as notes. That's twice. I'm counting, Robert. I'm counting, no more. So you'll be referring to that. We had this training, for those who are not here, we had this training about bad words or repetition in your conversation. And this is an intricate part of what we are also putting together, right? Conversation are based on words. We went through the framework that we want to keep in mind to give us basically that momentum today, that momentum when we are producing content, right? It's about a workflow. Now that we have all these fundamentals in place, we're no longer in the position to say, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I just have to adhere to the framework that I know works for the conversation around my brand attributes, my value, speaking to the targeted audience the way they want to be spoken to. This is the equation that we're always battling when we're talking marketing, right? After we've put forward all this brand together around this message, we gave this message a form through the branding exercise. Now we have to apply that conversation. And this is what we've been doing with this framework, from understanding the structure of our paragraph, and more importantly, understanding how simply we can frame our intent for AI, right? So I have this link there. I recommend you take a look at it. It's a summary of what we keep in mind and what we should be doing, leading to also what we're going to be discussing or applying when we start thinking email campaign or email structure. Luckily, NowSite gives us this sales flow, which is the fundamental step-by-step process that we have to follow to build a genuine connection when we're having a conversation, right? So this applies as a strategy. This applies also at any point of our conversation. We need to know what emotion or what intent we are trying to achieve. I also created this emotional trigger stack combo table for you guys to give you more ideas on how this can be used. I initially gave you 3. We explained the structure and the framework behind it. And these are practical application of it. I felt that giving you 10 were good, or 10 was a good amount for myself to be able to reach out when I need to prompt the AI for specific information or for specific content engagement. So I recommend you take a look at that. We'll be referring to that as well, since we know that when we're going to be prompting the AI, going back now to the tool and to the email, first thing first, we have come to understand that we're using our brand rationale in the tool here to get all that branding extra help from the AI, which allows us to use the automation when we're in Now Site. If we're using OpenAI, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to give it our brand rationale, and then we're going to ask it, well, I want to create an email sequence. I want the first email building a rapport to have this emotion or this arrangement in the way I choose to begin the conversation. So very simply here, again, just for the step-by-step, we're in the business profile. I selected my business profile for this new conversation that I'm establishing. Build my email. It will ask me simple information. And already here, I can start applying what we have discussed, right? So I'll say I want to, well, actually, sorry, I'm going to go back to the structure here, right? So the first one that I had was talking about my business. I want to create confidence and expectation. You have these different stacks that you know. If you want to create trust, again, as we discussed, these are simple stack structure. You would be basically, you would be copying the arrangement that you feel you want to use. And you would be basically, okay, I'm just going to give it up today. I'm not sure what's going on. And you would be replacing the structure here. That's about it. I think I'm so much trying not to repeat it that it's becoming part of my conversation today. I'm just going to forget that I'm not.
Should I turn off my video so you don't feel I'm watching you?
No, no, actually,
You
because
know,
this is also important in the terms of in the concept of conversation. When you're actively listening, you're actively listening to the people that that you're having an exchange with, but you're also actively listening to yourself, right?
right?
So
But
being aware of what, sorry?
the beautiful thing about what you're going through and experiencing right now is that you're learning, you're catching yourself, and that's a huge, huge step, bro. So keep doing what you're
Exactly.
doing. Fight through it. You're good.
You have to be aware of the things that you want to correct. Otherwise, you cannot correct them, right? And sometimes in the practice of them, self-awareness can become your worst enemy. In this case, I know that I'm not supposed to be saying, but it's now creeping into my mind every second. It's playing tricks with me, but it's the fun of that, right? So
Get
you
out of
have
your
the
head and into your heart.
exactly. So I gave you this table to use practically, right? So you can see if I want to create fear out of quick decision making, I'm going to use those. And simply put, I will be copying this and applying it to any part of the structure right here, right? In this case, going back to what we were doing for our first email. And again, simply put, what we are doing, if we are following our sales flow, which is the natural way of establishing a good relationship. I want to start building a rapport. If I'm going to offer a business connection, I want you to understand what this business is. And I also need to introduce myself as the business ambassador. And this is important. This is where that first connection moment comes in. And you want to now value properly the weight of the emotions that you're going to bring in. Understanding that will have you choose the right word, and the right words, you will need a structure for that. And this is basically what we have been doing. Wow, I'm going to write a song called Basically today. That's it. That's all. I'll make it a jingle. So this is what you're going to be doing, following step by step. So here, I'm going to copy paste the first structure here, right? And I want to create that confidence. So that's it, right? Oh, welcome email for my business. Here you have the details that you want to make sure you put in place so that you can set up your email connection related to the campaign properly, and also the name of it, right? Or whatever other tools you are using, I would assume that it will have these steps to follow, and you will have to commit to that. So welcome email to new. For those who have been in the now site space for some time, you are accustomed to these first step. The issue has been always the next one, evaluating the content. And at this point, you know going in what you are looking at creating. You have a structure in place. When you read it, it becomes a lot more easy to evaluate, easy to recorrect. The most important thing now, following what we are doing, we're having a conversation and we're having these people do things. What are these things? And that brings me back to this need, making sure that we have our asset ready. The concept of having your asset ready is also in line with the prospect journey. The prospect journey is what your client is prompted to do next when you are email after email prompting him to do something. Whatever tool you're using, one email is not a campaign. A series of email following a series of objective is a campaign. Start at 5, 3, 5, 12. We have established these are the numbers that have come around this space when we have discussed email strategies so far. And 3 is a small number, small enough for you to roll out and quickly test and optimize. 5 is the standard length that we would recommend going by the different steps of our sales flow logic. First email to build that rapport, whether it's cold or has already been established, the building would be reinforcing what is already there. A cold email would be creating basically that connection. And of course, when we engage in first rapport, depending again on the strategy, depending on the audience, we cannot be too direct with the offer. Our building rapport cannot have the same energy than a booking meeting or a close the sale. Although these will be suggested throughout the whole of the conversation, but they will be leveraged differently. And this is where the emotion or the type of colors or implication within the email that you are doing will bring in further funneling opportunities. Right? Going back to the email, when we create it and when we start going into evaluating it, right? There are certain things that we're looking for. Already understanding that fonts and colors have their weight in this, right? There's also the deeper strategy, right? If we want to start hyperlinking certain conversation or using or pivoting on those keywords that we know are strong, that are already part of the conversation, and highlighting them. For example, here we have an email that has a text, and you've noticed this when I am messaging you, certain part of the email, I will choose to in bold, or give more color. Simple strategy in line with what we had discussed doing with the first entry point of an email sequence. If we go back to our messaging frame, right, we have interest, intention, call to action. If we're looking at that in terms of email structure, well, the interest is in the subject line, the first point of entry, right? And we have come around certain tricks to make this entry point a little bit more, well, first, making sure that the conversation, the keywords around your email in this space is important, are aligned with the audience interest. Often enough, we have this conversation about warming up an email to make sure that we don't end up in spam, that we're not blocked. All that conversation around how to beat the system around email restriction, spam, or block, start here. If we have properly identified the audience interest, then whatever word we use will be part of their interest, will be part of the conversation that they allow in their spaces, that they want to attract in their spaces. So not only is it important to make sure that your subject line are always in line with the client's interest and the benefits of your products, but also giving it a little bit more in terms of emoji or whatever you find fit to make it stand out. Why? Because in the first, coming back to what we're discussing, it is the entry point, it is the interest. Then comes the intention. And we have now a table and a structure to apply that. Depending on the energy of your product, there's also certain things that you would try to do from the go. If the product, for example, is in an industry that is in crisis and you're targeting a decision maker, then the first building rapport will be very, I would say, showcasing or demonstrating your expertise to invite the offer or the conversation earlier on, because we have to show that there's value in spending time reading your content. So this could shift depending on your audience, the intensity of the conversation, but still the structure will have to be followed. Make sense, everybody? Okay, so the big takeaway here is that you now have a structure or a framework to create your content. You also now have the same framework to evaluate where you're going and also to have prepared the conversation that follows. If I explain, if I'm sending this first offer and I want it to lead to a conversion and I want to be able to showcase everything around connecting or showing proof of expertise. Okay, I might invite you to join me right now and then to this. And that would be the first part of my prospect journey. When I discover somebody or when I make a connection, the first thing that I want to introduce them to is this environment where I can showcase my expertise. Once they come in or after I showcase that, then I will go through the next step of inviting them into a meeting, right? Whatever you choose to do, you have now this sequence, you have now this structure. And it starts, again, where you have established all that. All the brand conversation we have allows you to give more strength or has already having you think about these things. Understanding where your audience is, you don't have to have all these social media links. You have to have the one that allow you to target your audience. Understanding already your audience or that part of the brand or product that you're offering will allow you to understand, okay, which one I need to have emphasis on. I think we covered this before, or we will be covering it or looking at this. This is food for conversation, for thought, for strategy to come, right? LinkedIn is a professional environment. Facebook is a family environment. Instagram, young adults. Twitter or X is a Wild West in terms of there's everybody there. Twitter for me is the TikTok of the old and the business world. Whereas TikTok, which I have not listed here, is for the new generation that likes video interaction, dancing, singing, and all that packaged in a very easy way to interact with each other. Stripped away all the need for posting and typing since they like videos will give them what they want. That's the new generation, right? So you decide where your clientele will, your audience. The first one, the priority one, the niche one is, and this is where you want to focus your conversation. How were you speaking to them? The same structure in your posts can be applied. Remember as well, what we're doing here in email, the messaging, extend to what we are doing in social media. We do have the tools to generate the conversation, but we now have greater understanding at steering it properly or proofreading it, right? Same thing here in the quick post. We have the instructions in the now the options you will have the prompt structure, and that also will still apply. Just going to go back to my messaging here. So this is a practical way to always make sure that you structure your conversation. The brand identity was an exercise, a journey in establishing the steps or the follow-up or the continuation of that conversation. Remember when we were doing this, we have established that branding goes beyond just the logo. As a matter of fact, while you're creating your logo, you can still forward your conversation, establishing your brand through experience, because this is part of also the branding exercise. And a lot of our the experience that people will first come in contact with will be based on our social media presence. So we now have, again, framework to continue reinforcing what we will have established after going through the brand exercise. So very simply put, make sure to go back to that and practice it, or bring it up since the documents are there and apply it going forward so that you can leverage that value and see the results. Very important. And this is where we will be going next in the CRM conversation. In the idea of going into email segmentation, in going into the prospect journey, the call to actions will become essential. If I want you in an onboarding sequence to go through a series of steps, if I want you through a course flow to go through modules after modules or lessons after lesson, if as part of a brand or a service evaluation process, I need you first to send me document understanding what I'm going to be doing with them. Once I receive them, I need to inform you of the next step and where we will go from there. So these step by step, these call to action, what we naturally have to do to get from one point of our offer to the last stage, right? The close, the sell, the conversion, as it is, and the retention, acquisition, conversion, retention, right? The call to action will become important. They are the end result of the message. And your call to action usually will also find themselves as part of your asset links. Since we are in the digital world, most of the things that we're going to be doing will end up in links: a booking link, a meeting link, a document link, a training link, a payment link. Right? So you want to already start with that. In essence, this starts manifesting itself here. Your social media, your contact link, your brand conversation as it follows. If I cross over from here to Facebook, what problem do I have here? So you cross over to the same conversation, the echoes. These asset links will be part of your abouts and such. Same thing if you go to any other links. And what used to be complicated technically now is simple. You copy and paste the conversation that you have established as being part or the making of your brand identity across platforms, right? Here, there's a change that I'm making. I was testing this out for this new conversation or this new opportunity that I will be pursuing, which is going into these brand solutions that will be the making of my marketing opportunities that I would want to leverage to businesses. And in fact, this is something that we will be also applying. I will be applying, as I say, I practice what I preach on a regular basis. So this is the value that I give you, the trusted fact that, well, I'm applying it, I see success, I'm testing this knowledge, and I'm giving you this strength. We are also sharing as a community. Let's test it. We have nothing to lose, all to gain when we trust the process. And I think this is something that we've been hammering through our exchanges. Simply put, trust the process, learn from it, and you can better control your outcome or evaluate your own progress. Make sense for everybody so far? Questions, comment, share, and go ahead, Marta.
Virgil, so when you have several products that's in the medical industry, what would be, should we just focus on one when we're marketing? Or, I mean, how do we make it known that we have more than one product?
Well, if you have more than, let's take the example of a store, for example. Consider yourself as a store. How does a store approach it? I have the brand name umbrella, and then I have the different products that are listed. Now, you technically want to bring in the foreground your first and better, your best seller, right? When you arrange your boutique, and I'm taking this back to the in boutique type scenario, because it's the same thing that we're doing online. Our website is our boutique. It's where we list all the offers. So you have your umbrella brand, you have your umbrella website. When I land on the first page, as I walk into the store, I'll be seeing clear instructions on where to go for my interest, right? So you decide, after presenting your overall company operating in the medical industry, offering product solution advices for your needs, then I'm going to roll down to the business offers or the services. We recommend and we insist always to start with 3. So if you have, for example, multiple products that fall into the same category, put them into that same branching off of your offer. For example, how many products do you want to focus on coming into your offer?
Well, I mean, they're just different directions. Like I might have a subcategory with like the surgical tables and things like that. But then I have another category that would be for like the remote CCM, RPM, and RTM services. So I just didn't know if there's a such thing of having too many on one page, or if we should separate it and have different sites for the different products.
Well, every different products, especially from what I'm understanding, are a high ticket product, right? Because, and there's also an audience. If you're selling surgical products, they look at institution that practice surgery, right? And or people specialists in that field. So that's a different audience there. They're
Right.
all part of the medical core. So when they walk in and they're looking for service, they understand that there will be a lot of things, but they will want to go where their interests are met. So go to the first three converse. The other service was for people doing monitoring remote and in in physically at physical location. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, we use different providers. Providers can monitor their their seniors, their Medicare patients through
Okay.
this service.
Okay, so already from the conversation, I see two major axes of what we're discussing. Because on one side, we're offering medical products, i.e. surgical equipment. And on the other side, we're offering uh, medical service,
Program. Mhm.
right? So already you can have, this is just as I'm putting forward here as an example, this is our medical solution that we offer or we recommend, product-wise or service wise. And we go down that ask now, that these different uh, um, funnels of conversation. And of course, you don't want to make a marketing asset too heavy. So what you're
Right.
going to be doing is making sure that from one center of interest, you go into the specific products that are adhering to that specific conversation. Here, for example, marketing solutions has to do with providing fractional marketing offers, providing energy cost solutions for business, providing financial decision-making softwares. So these are products that I don't control. These are products that I'm selling. These are the business. These are for established or large scale businesses or medium to large businesses. That goes into that category. That becomes that audience. On the other side, I have this love for marketing. It is part of the expertise that I leverage on the other side. And it also is looking at an audience that is on a different stage and scale than the ones that I discuss in the business solution. So now I have this out. But under the same IMI solutions, I now have these different conversations where I can go. You have to always find a way to make it simple. And usually when you look at the substance of your offers, you can already start separating them. Thus begins also, or another practical application of segmentation, because you're segmenting your business. I have to break down the services, offers, or product, and these also have to be broken down into who they speak to so that I can start addressing the proper email campaign, email conversation to that audience.
So it would be better to since there's several or multiple products or services, so it doesn't make it look like I'm too busy to be able to be good at any one thing, to present it more as me and my team, maybe.
Well, you and your team, yes, or the entity. Practically, I will demonstrate that here with this problem that I'm having. I have this first offer for which I have an agreement that I can represent and doesn't conflict with me representing others. I'm going to have to update this for business solution. I'm in the business environment and I'm going to keep it clean. But the conversation is now going to be able to shift within. So I can have a brand fundamentally established image, and therein I can showcase my expertise as well. Remember yesterday I said, well, sometimes you don't want to have too many offers on the table, and you don't want to offer too much in a conversation. However, it's good to have that as a quick go-to, for example, to leverage your expertise. I'm a, I'm a, I'm a specialist in the medical field. I deal with product and services. And for you today, I understand that you have a need for this service. See, I presented the overall interest. I have this company that operates in the realm of providing medical solutions. We do equipment, we have that expertise, and we have the expertise of providing service. Not too much, right?
Okay.
And
Right.
then from this point today, I'm talking to you because of this. This will, for example, allow you, the audience, to go check out what I'm doing in the other field just to consolidate the fact that there is a continuity in what I'm offering or who I am.
Okay.
There's
That
an
makes sense.
email, yeah, there's an email that I'm testing or that I received from other friends that are independent, and they gave me a structure that I really liked. I'm going to test it and I'm rolling it out. But in essence, they are independent. They have their own company. They're using that in a sense that, well, often enough, when you're talking from one big business to another big business, the conversation is how good is the relationship we're going to have, because you might be having many of these businesses that you're dealing with and you have to give them equal service, right? So how well can you serve all our needs that are used individually with the same care? So dealing with smaller entity is something that they start looking into, cost effective, and they're sure that if I give you a contract as an independent, you're 100% involved in getting me the best out of that, right? So
Makes sense.
so often enough, or the structure of their email presents them as being passionate about what they do, and then the company that they are operating under, representing, and then they go into what they are offering. Their service, 100% dedication at finding the right person for the opening. It's a consulting, hiring, HR type industry that they're in. Right. So I was curious. I said, well, send me the emails that you're using. I want to take a look at it. I want to see how I can first evaluate what I'm offering or how I'm proceeding vis-a-vis of what you're doing and what is paying real fruit since you're living off of this. And I want to see how these emails are functioning. I wanted to understand the process. And if it is working for you, I'm going to run it as it is and see how it works for me after adapting it, owning it, and then build more upon that. Right? So the structure is the same. You want to present yourself, present the entity under you operate. Whether you have a team or not, the entity will start giving you more power, right? In a sense that you're not alone. You can be working alone with different uh, um, uh, contractors, which is part of your skill.
Mhm.
Right? So you want to phrase, when in doubt, again, when in doubt, refer to this table, because there's something there. I want to leverage trust while presenting my product. How would I structure this, or how can I have that conversation? The conversation usually will give you a good idea of, okay, well, this is technically how the rest of the presentation, so follow up strong of that. And remember, what we're doing applies also for the audience, because when the audience is reading your content, they're making an idea for themselves, an idea, an image of what they're going to be doing next. Hence why it's a dangerous thing in marketing to oversell what you are truly putting on the table. Because right there, people set up image, set up emotion, set up expectations, and when they come in, there's a letdown. Right? So it's the same thing. In presenting yourself, don't oversell yourself. Understand that having a team is something that will be part of your process. Whether you, at the time where you're discussing the contract or not, have that alliance already established. To be agile, for example, you don't want necessarily to go building a team surrounding yourself with skills that you do not need. Sometimes, based on a contract or a need, you will know to go look in your network for somebody that can handle that and create an offer around that. Even your community is a team. Because if you come back to your community with, okay, well, this is what's happening here, what would you recommend? And we're going back the team, right? So you don't want to oversell yourself, but you also don't want to understate your value. You have your brand, you have your person, you are your person. And the moment where you decide to go into business, you become a brand. So you have that brand. So you will be able to speak with these two voices. But also remember, when we are talking connection, you don't necessarily, especially in the email sequence. In the email sequence, remember that we're speaking and we're having that connection one-on-one because the person is reading it, they're alone, and they're reading you. And you want to be able to break that ice very quickly. Remember also that people join people don't buy service, they buy into relationships. So in your structure, you want to move away quickly from the entity conversation to that personal interaction that you're trying to create with each one of the person in your list. Make sense? Go ahead, Robert.
So
Yes, it does.
while you've been talking, there was a couple of things that popped up into my mind as well, speaking from experience of somebody that has had multiple products. And when you look at the dynamics of how we're dealing with all this in the network marketing world in an online fashion, there's what we call split testing, right? So with that being said, if you have a bunch of different products, my recommendation is to find two or three of the best-selling products that are selling through your company if it's an affiliate program, right? And create different pages within your website. They don't have to be visible up inside of the menu area, but you can have those pages so that you can specify or get niched in is what we kind of call it. So instead of saying health and wellness, well, I want to promote this product and say it's for people that have diabetes, as an example, right? And you can lead any campaign with that specific lead capture page because you're targeting that specific audience. So the people that actually put their name and information on that list, they're the ones that you want to talk to anyway, right? So
Mhm.
the key thing that I'm kind of getting at is even when you're split testing, you're still your whole mission is to pique the person's interest so that they can see, oh, well, here's a potential problem solver for me. They put their information in, then it's all about the customer's journey. What do they see on that next page? Are they getting a thanks for, filling out the form? Make sure you check your email so that you get correspondence from us. Or is it just, oh, here's the page, right? Because people can fall short on that too. So we have to think about the customer's journey. I say that all the time. It's not about us, it's about them. And however you can make that journey more pleasurable, the better you're going to be, right? So just a couple of things that popped into my head there. I
Absolutely.
trust that helps.
Thank
Split
you. Great points.
split testing is so important in the sense that it comes back to what I started putting forward yesterday, lean marketing. Okay. For in health and wellness, staying in that industry, one of the challenges that network marketers in wellness products face is the depth of the boutique. right? They give you this great website, there's this great online store, and there's a lot of category of products that you now have to pick through and create your own offer for your niche, right? Because if all my direct clients are in the, I would say, 40 to 50s, and they're looking at rejuvenating products, right? I have to go into my boutique and start picking everything around that and interest and that audience, right? So often enough, we are forced and then I say who, I'm including myself in that conversation, in the people, for people that are in the wellness industry, you're forced to go into your boutique and start picking out, okay, this is how I'm going to make my basket. On top of that, you have the promotional offers that the company will make, right? One of the things that you want to keep in mind when you're creating an umbrella website with different offers, different branching out, coming back to the idea of I offer a service opportunity and I offer a product opportunity. Well, the prospect journey across these two axes will be different. One will be led to a boutique, will have to pay, monitor the delivery, and receive the follow-up customer service channel information. The other one will have a more tailored approach. We're going to have to meet, scale your business, talk about the product implementation and deployment, right? And the different process of training your staff. The prospect journey becomes different. Right? So when you have an umbrella website, talk about the opportunities, but understanding that what follows after the acquisition will lead down a specific path of conversation will have you create different assets. Have an umbrella, but one you want, once you have picked your path, because I'm aligning that campaign that will follow, that 12-day campaign after you opted into wanting to learn more about the product process or the service process, with the different prompts for the different part of the onboarding sequence or the conversion sequence. All that now falls into different categories. Okay, so be very careful. And this is also coming back to that, beware when you have a business umbrella that has more than 3 offers. You yourself are creating a lot of workload for your work cycle. So 3 is really that maximum per interest, because I'm in the industry of wellness. You can only offer 3 things anyways, generally: products, service, or coaching and continued support. These are the 3 things in each uh, uh, large opportunity, in the world of opportunity that we have to market as networkers or entrepreneurs. We fall into these general 3 categories. At least that has been my notice. Anybody has a share or input on that? We either offer services, whether they're digital or whatnot. We offer products, and then we offer some kind of support service. So technically, as large as we want to have offers on our main umbrella website, these are the 3 tabs that a client would see. I'm looking for services in that category. I'm looking for products, or I have products and service. I'm now looking for support, guidance, coaching. Generally, these are the 3 crossroad, or the 3 branches to the crossroad that we come in as network marketer, or that we can offer as client. Sorry, go ahead, Robert, and then Rita, or Rita and Robert, however you want to start that. Okay,
No,
Rita.
another thing that popped up into my head about what I was just talking about, if you're using a welcome page, that's also something that we don't talk a lot about, but that is a perfect place too to do an upsell or another pique their interest. What comes to my mind as an example, let's say you're in the cosmetics department and they're filling out a page for eyeshadow. Oh, well, here's the welcome page. Check out our lipsticks, as an example.
Absolutely. The welcome page is where you have your hero section, right? And your hero for the month can be this product or other product or yes. So your welcome page, so highlight your star products, your
I
star
just say
service.
thank you, welcome or thank you page, you know? Either one, the
Yeah.
one right after they fill out the email, that's really, really important. You
Oh
do
yeah.
a lot of fun stuff with that.
Yes. That one is so essential. We'll come back to that. Rita, go ahead.
Hi, I'm operating from the tablet again. Just wanted to, two things I noticed that when I am scrolling and looking at what other people do, I cannot help but go through the process as a customer if I'm interested in something. So as I'm going through, I'm looking, look, I already saw that, I just want to buy. And I noticed that on some of the sites, they have buy now, right after, like, I don't need to, you don't need to take me on any other journeys. I know I want it. I just want to buy it. Where do I buy? Some of them take you all the way through the whole process. Watch that video for an hour. We're not going to tell you that whole thing. That's not what I like. So when I'm thinking about how I like my customer journey to be, then I look at things that um, rally with me, so to speak, or I don't know the right word, but whatever that is, that go with me better. And then the second thing I wanted to say is that it's funny how when you learn something, you cannot unlearn it. I woke up this morning, there was a bag. The bag had a logo, and I just thought, it looked like some kind of Chinese character. But it wasn't. It was, when I looked carefully at it, it had an S and a P, and it kind of disjointed, but I could tell what it was, but would not have thought about that had I not been listening to the things that you guys teach. So just wanted to share. Thanks.
Oh, pleasure. That happened when you become aware of what you're supposed to practice. You take a look at the world a different way. That happened to me, for example, when I was um, coming out or going through the process of fashion or learning fashion. I would go out and start evaluating people's look differently, and I couldn't help but doing it, right? They would dress up this way. It would be a reflection of their mood, of their wants, or the social group that they would want to adhere to. So you can't stop but on seeing knowledge once you're aware of it, right? You can't do that. Um, there's one thing that I wanted to say. It skipped my mind. Skip my mind. Oh, we'll come back to it. Anybody wants to add in to what we've discussed so far?
I
No?
can say before we end the show, I like that we're again going through this because these processes aren't normally like out there to say, hey, go through this, do this, do this, do this, right? So we can help a few people, guide them through what the setup is. And as long as they learn that and implement it, they'll see some results. And then maybe they'll go teach somebody else and help them.
Absolutely. Remember, before we can teach, we have to master. When we master, we profit from it as well. And what we're sharing is things that not only we have come to understand, but we're practicing, building upon, mastering as we go. And these are live intake from people that are using the advice. So that's great. It's different than when you're at school and you get the fact that, okay, the teacher is teaching it, but he's not really practicing it. In this case, we are in the field coming back and say, oh, you know what? This is a new update. This is how I would proceed. If anything, take a stab at it, see how it works for you, and then turn it to something that is you. As simple as that. Keep also the principle, the everything we tend to cover a lot of value or a lot of content here, but everything boils down to the simplest and most meaningful way to have interaction with people. Always use that as a reference. Okay. If you're trying to sell too much, you will be selling too much. Yeah, that's it. If I have too many
That note,
options, too many options.
Everyone have a happy and safe 4th of July. Don't blow any fingers off or any toes off. And we'll see some of you guys on Monday Mastermind.
Yeah, one thing, I just
Yeah.
came back. I'm just gonna, we have a quick minute, or coming back to what Rita said. It is important also to understand the psychology of the buyer, eh? In the industry. When you're shopping for clothes and they send you to their website, they don't send you to the about page. They send you directly to the store. So understand also that, right? Who am I speaking to? And that will determine which part of my link or my link tree on my website I'm going to be sending. The industry will also determine which one of these pages will become the home page, the landing page. The clients are looking for purchase, they're going directly to the store, and then they want to discover more about the brand, depending on the industry. Well, food for thoughts. And yes, we'll see each other on Monday.
Thank you. Bye,
My
everybody.
pleasure.
Thank you.